All right, welcome. We are diving into a huge question for any leader out there. How do you get all the amazing benefits of AI tools like Microsoft CoPilot without opening up your company to a whole world of new risks? Well, this explainer is going to give you a solid framework to do exactly that.
So yeah, this is part 8 of our 10-part introduction to Microsoft Copilot from Virtualization Options LLC. And this one is specifically for you, the managers, the leaders. We're not just going to talk about what Copilot is, but how you roll it out smartly, with a security framework that actually works, one that encourages new ideas while keeping things safe. And that really is the heart of the matter, isn't it? You've got this massive potential with AI to completely change the game for productivity. But on the flip side, you've got this whole new frontier of really serious threats. The whole trick is finding that perfect balance. So, let's really break down this dilemma you're facing. You've got this incredible pull from your own employees who are desperate to use AI, but at the same time, that opens up a whole new can of worms when it comes to risk, and you have to get ahead of it.
And look, the demand from inside your own organization, it is huge. I mean, look at this number, 70%. Microsoft's research shows that a huge chunk of your people are basically saying, hey, let us offload work to AI. This isn't just some tech fad. This is a real shift in how people want to work.
But here's the thing. While your team is excited about this, you can bet the bad actors are too. And the risks we're talking about go way beyond your typical virus. We're talking about really sophisticated stuff, like data poisoning, where someone could mess with your AI's brain and make it produce bad information, or model inversion, where they could try to steal the sensitive company data your AI was trained on. Your old security playbook might not even see these coming.
You know, Microsoft learned this the hard way. They rolled out Copilot to over 300,000 of their own people, and their biggest lesson was this. You've got to build the rules of the road before you open the highway. You can't wait for a crash to happen and then decide to put up stop signs. Governance has to come first.
So what does that actually look like? Well, it's not about being the Department of No and locking everything down, but it's also not the Wild West. The smart play is a balanced approach, using zones to match the level of control to the level of risk.
So the way to think about it is with these 3 zones. You've got Zone 3, where everyday users can innovate on their own for low-risk stuff. Then you've got Zone 2, where business teams and IT work together on medium-risk tools. And finally, Zone 1. This is for the high-stakes mission-critical systems where IT has complete control. This way, you're not slowing everyone down with a one-size-fits-all policy.
Okay, let's start with Zone 3. Think of this as your innovation sandbox, right? This is where you let people experiment safely. You know, your sales team might build a quick prompt to summarize their meeting notes, or marketing could create something to spit out ideas for social media posts. The rules are light. It's self-service, but with guardrails, like only letting them use pre-approved data.
So what happens when a little tool someone builds in Zone 3 starts getting really popular, or maybe it needs to touch more important data? Well, it graduates to Zone 2. This is the partnered zone. A perfect example is an HR bot that can answer questions about benefits. It's not running the company, but it does need some departmental data. So here, the HR team partners with IT for a quick review to make sure everything's secure and compliant.
And that brings us to Zone 1. These are the big guns, the heavy hitters. We're talking about AI systems that make financial decisions or handle protected health information, or even talk to your customers. For these, the governance is locked down tight. It gets the same intense scrutiny as any of your other critical enterprise software. No shortcuts.
Okay, this zoned policy is a great idea on paper. But let's be real, a policy is just a piece of paper if you can't actually enforce it, right? So how do you make these rules, well, real?
And this is where the rubber meets the road. You make the zones real by creating actual separate technical environments for each one. So all the Zone 3 experiments, they happen in sandbox personal spaces. The Zone 2 tools, they live in specific departmental environments with tailored data access. And of course, the Zone 1 systems, they're in your most protected, buttoned-up production environment.
And this is the key takeaway, really. The architecture is the enforcement. This is what stops your governance plan from just being a hopeful suggestion sitting in a folder somewhere. It turns your rules into real, physical guardrails that the system itself enforces.
All right, so you've got this great framework, you've got the tech to back it up. Now what? How do you actually roll this thing out? Well, the one thing everyone who's done this agrees on is don't try to do it all at once.
You have got to do this in phases. You start small, with an executive pilot. This gives you amazing feedback, but just as important, it creates champions for the project at the highest levels. Then, in phase 2, you move out to whole departments, one by one, learning what each group really needs. And only then, once you've got all the support figured out, do you go for the big enterprise-wide rollout in Phase 3.
And that brings us to maybe the most important point of all. If you think of this as just another IT project, you're pretty much setting yourself up for failure. This is a fundamental business transformation, and for that to work, it has to be a true partnership across the entire company.
So what does that winning team actually look like? Well, Microsoft found that this is the magic combination. You need IT running the tech and security assessing the risk, obviously. But you also have to have legal shaping the policies, your business units finding the actual use cases, HR driving the training and culture change, and comms making sure everyone understands what's happening. Every single one of these pieces is critical.
So I want to leave you with this question. Are you just planning on using AI, or are you trying to build a culture that can truly master it? Because a solid governance framework, it isn't just about avoiding risk. It's about building a foundation where your people can innovate safely. And that structured, team-based approach, that's what separates the companies that just play with AI from the ones that use it to win.